Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for a Sunday sit down here at Friendship Shaving. I'm in the kitchen again. I've got the best light in here and I've got a cup of tea, so here's to you. I thought I'd start a new series of sit downs talking about the history of Gillette razors and talking about a number of iconic vintage safety razors. This is going to be my personal choice of razors that have piqued my interest, and razors that I don't own and that I would really love to have in my little collection. And I suppose we should start the first sit down in this series by talking about the iconic razor, the very first safety razor that became known as the Gillette double ring razor. You know, when I first started becoming interested in vintage razors and particularly Gillette, I read on the forums about the Gillette double ring. And I looked out for one and I kept seeing them. And in England there is a company that produced an Eclipse red ring razor. Now this razor is my Gillette single ring, but the Gillette double ring I thought had two rings around the base, and I thought that because the Eclipse red ring had a red band around the base, and I thought that's what I was looking for. And gradually I realised that there were lots of these rare double rings around. And I made further inquiries, and one of the gentlemen informed me that the double ring refers to this band at the top. On the very first razor there is a double band at the top of the handle. So if you're looking for a Gillette double ring, that's what you're looking for, the two bands at the top. The razor was first made as a prototype in 1901. King Camp Gillette found a machinist in Boston to produce 3 prototypes. There was a short comb version, a medium comb version which went to King Gillette himself, and a long comb version. The short and the long comb both went to investors in the company, and the handle on the prototype was later improved by a William Nickerson, and he produced the production handle that went out. I will include in the description a link to a picture of that 1901 prototype. It has a smooth handle rather than the handle with knurling on it, and it also, quite interestingly, has a flat guard plate rather than the curved guard plate that we associate with those early Gillette razors. In 1903, the first production razors came out, and the pre-sold razors went out in white cardboard boxes or pasteboard boxes. In the autumn of that year, the double ring razor came out in a lithographed tin in 1903, and by 1904 we see the more familiar leather case that we associate with, or that I associate with, the double ring razors. Now this is mine from my single ring, but it is the same case as a double ring case. They used up their old cases when they went over to the single ring razors. So the leather cases feature a banner, and the banner could be from Boston, Chicago or New York, and there was also a Gillette sales company as a part of the company, and the banner might have that on. So if you were a collector of double rings, I'm sure you would be looking out for a banner from each place. Typically they are different coloured, the banners. Mine is the Gillette sales company, the Times building, Times Square, New York. And as we move over to 1905, that was the last year of production for the Gillette double ring razor. And in that short time, it was so popular that the razor and the style of razor was copied across the world, and even down to the double ring. So there are razors out there that you might think are a double ring, but are often German copies. And I noticed that the German copies I've seen have 13 prongs rather than 14. So just something to look out for there. Of course, Gillette's big idea was the disposable blade, but to produce such an innovative razor that was immediately popular, I think is an incredible achievement. And in those very early days, it was unheard of to have a disposable blade, and it was completely alien to people that used razors. One of Gillette's big advertising features was no honing, no stropping. And in those early sets, and I've got one with my 1906 razor, they included a little package from their agent, prepaid, so you could send your dull razor blades back to be resharpened, because it was unheard of, literally unheard of, to throw away a razor blade. People thought it was incredibly wasteful. So you could have the razor blades resharpened for 2.5 cents, or you could have a heavy concaved grind for 15 cents. Now, this really smelled, when I got it, of mildew, and I've tried everything to get that smell out of it. I used some Barbicide, the blue stuff that you see in the barbers, and I gave it a very light coating with Barbicide, which is a disinfectant, and I figured that if there was mold or bacteria on there, the Barbicide would kill it and that would get rid of the smell. That didn't work. I did read that if you use a vodka to clean it with, the vodka would evaporate and take the smell with it. And I tell you categorically, that did not work at all. The latest thing I've tried is to put it in a bag with some lavender mothballs, and I've left it in the bag for a fortnight, and now that horrible sort of mouldy old book smell has gone, and it just smells of lavender mothballs. So maybe that has fixed it for the short term, and I can put it back in my case. But that was how the original razors, I believe, would come, with a little packet like that to return your razor blades to. It would come with a leaflet, and again have one from my single ring, but this is interesting because when I turn to the English instructions, it says in shaving to hold the razor at the proper angle. The best results are obtained by holding the razor at an angle of about 45 degrees. Now, we often talk about having a razor angle of 30 degrees, but perhaps it was different on these early Gillette razors. Obviously for the single ring it was, and I would assume that was the same on the double ring. If you have any information from a booklet that came with a double ring, I'd love to know if it was the same as this. And the next time I use my single ring razor, I will try it at 45 degrees. This is only something I've just recently realized. It also talks about, and if I can find the right place, it says, as a rule, it is best to screw the blade down to the guard tightly. But for a close shave, turn the handle about 1/8 of a revolution to the left, which will raise the blade from the guards. And I wonder when I read that if King Camp Gillette had in his mind, right from the very onset of his razors, the idea to make an adjustable razor. And although he passed away many years before the first Gillette adjustable razor came out, I do wonder if that was in his mind. So that essentially is my very short Sunday sit down with a little history about the first Gillette safety razor, which of course was just called the Gillette safety razor. It was only later that it became known as the Gillette double ring. The resources I've used today are the wonderful Mr. Razor website and resource, and I will put a full link in the description to this video, and also my downloaded copy of the complete Gillette Collector's Handbook, which is a fascinating read, and I bought that from Razor Emporium. So that is my quick Sunday sit down. I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of history, and suffice to say, I would like a double ring in my collection, and I'm sure there are many of you out there that feel just exactly the same as I do. Well, until I see you next time for a shave, you take care. I'll catch you around. Bye bye now.